And one thing I want to focus on with the Eternity Robotech Invid War comics. This thing went on to like I think 17 issues. There was a team of Bill Spangler and Tim Eldred, particularly Tim Eldred. Nothing against Spangler, but Tim Eldred is probably one of the best, one of my favorite artists. This guy, and especially when he inked himself, okay, this guy was his composition, his ability to draw tech to tech, right? The way he drew the characters, the action scenes, uh, a real nice mix between the anime and the American style, where the people weren't as anime looking. It was a good hybrid style per se. All right. Um, this dude was amazing, and he not only was he able to draw all these with Robotech in particular, he could adapt his art style to any series he did. He did a bunch of adaptations later with Star Blazer, so he could draw more in the Star Blazer style. He did other stuff. Very underrated artist. I'm gonna link to him. I think he has a YouTube channel. He works for Marvel Animation now, but he does interviews, and I don't want to assume he did like an Ayn Rand adaptation. I forgot what the hell was it. I forgot the name of the novella she did. Some future sci-fi thing. I forgot, but so he might be a bit of a libertarian too. But you don't want to say that in this day and age. So, um, and man, in the early '90s, man, this is what I needed. This series here, and you got Lancer being discovered by Carla, right? Uh, and just to continue this stuff here, we're redoing the new generation, Mospita, with the characters, kind of like revamping stuff, but uh, really, really amazing, stuff here. With my favorite part, the new generation. Okay? It's kind of funny to think of the early '90s. When I was reading these, I was like, imagine being like a rebel against overwhelming odds, like aliens dominating us, and you couldn't trust people, and traitors, and realizing that you're probably not going to win, or it's going to take beyond your lifetime for things to happen. And that's Nova Satori. She actually was a character in this. Imagine that, living in that future. I couldn't imagine it back in the early '90s. Okay, I was very liberal back then. As an example here, Cyber City Oedo. I'm not even going to mention this was a great OVA series, a future dystopian supernatural story. But here's him doing the art and adapting it more for that style and color. Um, I want to draw more like this guy, the way he does it, the way he draws. Um, yeah. Okay, like I said, Robotech Invid War was probably the best original comic that had been made ever, and that was by Eternity Comics. Okay, Tim Eldred was the artist. It was black and white, but fast forward more than a couple of years into like the 2000s. Remember Wildstorm, right? Remember Image, right? And then DC bought Image, and then yeah. But at some point, they had gotten control of the Robotech license. Okay, Wildstorm, and Tommy Yoon. This is the guy. I think he became like the head of everything Robotech at this point by Harmony Gold. Right? So they had made this series Robotech Invasion. I have the other two issues of this. There's 5 issues, but I don't have them with me. This was really cool. That's Yoshitaka Amano's artwork. Once again, the yellow character is in this. Um, you could probably think, what the hell I keep focusing on this character? Well, the way things are now, the way things have developed, I think it's a perfect opportunity to use something back then that was an anomaly, which is now made normal, whether we like it or not. Well, there's ways to subvert that uh, in terms of using a character who has the same, the principle is the same. You must hide who you are, because of the system you are living in. You get it? And of course, I keep focusing back on all the other things you could talk about, economic or the R word. The gender thing is huge. We're in late state civilization. Okay, it's pretty clear. Okay? And a lot of the problems we're having is because of the disruption of the genders. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how to tell you guys this, but this stuff is part of a cycle, so you're not reversing it. But you can't have things survive into the next round. And that's what a lot of, I think, what this is. In terms of the stuff I'm doing, obviously the Daniel character in the Peacock and Soldier Boys is bigly influenced by this character, as is the Against the Goddess, which I haven't done showed you yet. Bren is also greatly influenced by this improvised character that should not have existed, and that should now be looked at different. I'm so happy. There's one good thing about this situation of the last 2 years or more now, right? Is that it stopped that horrible Robotech reboot from Titan Comics, which was featuring this character at the end. You can imagine what they'd want to do with this sort of thing now. And now that that has been stopped, there's an opportunity to do other things with gender bending, which is to achieve the opposite of what the stuff was intended for. I keep saying symptoms, don't confuse symptoms for causes, and in a way this is inevitable. If you read about past civilizations, this is what happens. There's too many people, there's too many males around, okay? Except now the females are becoming males. Anyway, enough of the rant. Now, this was actually really good art-wise, okay? This is the same thing. This is about what happens. There's Lancer again. And, the thing I liked about this story was that in this, he's a regular dude, right? And that was really the crux of this stuff, right? Also, you know, the art looked looked like really good. The guy, I think the guy who did this did some work for Miss Marvel or something, but it doesn't matter. You know, here we go. These artists, the art was amazing. Okay? They really did a good job of the thing here. It was accurate. It showed the first liberation force, where they didn't have any transforming mechas, and the war with the Invert, and them getting their asses totally kicked. Look, and there's Carla again, showing that where they crashed was Uruguay. I keep hearing about Uruguay. I think if I ever visit another country, I might visit that place. Here you go. One of Lance's buddies gets caught by the wonderful human race, always helping those who are in power. Thundercats, man, get out of here. You ain't gonna hear no Thundercat video with me. Oh man, this came off. Well, hey, that was normal for us people back in the day, remember? This was not the best Robotech comic, even though it was focused on the era I liked, on a character who I found fascinating. A lot of the reason was they were trying to fit a lot of stuff into 5 issues. And the end was kind of abrupt, and there was nothing really, there was nothing really groundbreaking here. We sort of all know the story. This is supposed to be the asshole that broke into the room in the animation I showed you, right? And he gets his, but it just at this point, it was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of over. It's kind of like we've seen everything. What do we really want? We want a sequel. Okay, we had a sequel, right? Shadow Chronicles. I'll go over at that. It's but enough of these stories that happen in the time. But we all know what happens. We want to know what happens next. Okay, we want to know what happens after the Shadow Chronicles. We want to know what happens after the Invid leave Earth. You don't get that. You just get more of these stories from this time period. Okay? And the one disappointment here was throughout this whole comic, they portray Lance Belmont, right? Lancer is actually not his name. It's a mistake she made looking at his ship. The infamous scene where he looks. She does this work. It's not even how it was, where he was kind of stymied out. There's never like any sense of like, as a normal guy, why the hell would you do this? I would be like, what are you doing? That would be something that should have come up. It was such a thing that it actually made me do something really nerdy and write a fan fiction of how conflicted you would be to be a man, to have to be subjected to this. And then eventually how you use that later to fight against mainly humans. Right? And eventually that idea became against the goddess. But enough. I'm talking about the comic. That was a great, look at that. That's a great panel. This dude, this traitor guy. Anyway, the ending of it, of course, we all know how it ends, right? So it was a decent comic. It got me into trying to revitalize or use these ideas. Because when I had read this, things were changing. I was starting to feel some of the global forces starting to make a world very similar to what you had, particularly in this part of Robotech. Okay, people want an old society being overtaken by a new alien society, and the people trying to find a way to resist that. Not being in power. It's amazing how that has come together. But anyway, these are the Robotech comics. Like I said, the Infinite War one was the best. But at this day and age, we'd like the way comics are now. I don't even want a sequel. I don't want what they were doing with Titan Comics. It's time to make our own comics and to leave these old series where they were as inspirations, you could say, as memories, but not continuing them. Okay, and that goes for a lot more things than this. Your Star Wars, your Marvel movies, your everything else. Let it go. Make something creative yourself, right? DIY, influenced by the past, but made for what is happening now. Okay, later.